Hey guys, welcome back to On the Level. So we did a little part where we're out on the lake, wintertime crankbait fishing, dirty water conditions, and caught some fish, caught some actual nice ones. Really, really cold. So what I want to talk to you is about bait choice this time of year when you're fishing. There's a misconception when the water gets cold and it gets muddy, run to the bottom of the lake, find the clear water. Negative. Some of the biggest fish you'll catch all year will be like it was 44, 45, 46 degree water temperature, muddy. They bite if you get it to them. Just a little bit, a couple little things you can do different to set yourself across from everybody else cranking, but I'm gonna give you a little go-to of my arsenal when I'm shallow cranking in muddy water. All right guys, so the first and obvious choice for shallow cranking, especially in the mud and the cold water, is square bill. Every company's got one. It's just personal preference to what you like, what you don't like. This is a prototype we're actually building and working on. I think you're gonna be happy once it comes out, but square bill across the board, crawdad colors, chartreuse, little bright. Sometimes, surprisingly not, white can be one of the best colors that you sling around in the dirty water. It's all about being able to keep that bottom contact. So if the water's lower, if you're banging off stumps, boat ramps, riprap, these guys can get the job done for you. And you got to worry about the speed. Speed with these things makes all the difference in the world. Just fast enough to keep bottom contact, twitches on the rod every once in a while just to get the debris off of it. You get some bites that are just amazing, and it feels awesome because your hands are freezing and they shatter the ice off your rod tip. So the second thing, kind of go into old school. Flat-sided wood crankbaits. Been around forever. This was like the kingpin for me. It's one of my favorite. I don't even throw it anymore. It's a little pig. Berkeley makes a Fritz side. Here's another handmade stable that's been around forever. These little baits get bit because they don't make a lot of noise, tight vibration, come through the open cover pretty good. Just an attractive meal for a fish when the water's cold and dirty and you're fishing shallow. Just downsizing, sometimes you get a lot more bites. When you're speaking of that, the bait to downsize that has been proven throughout history that is always tied on my rod in the wintertime is a number 5 or number 6 shad wrap. This bait is hard to throw. You got to put it on a spinning rail, but you will get some bites on this thing, and this bait will catch the biggest fish in the lake all the way across the country, especially in cold conditions. Moving on, from the shad wrap, you kind of have your flat divers, right? There's several on the market. Everybody's got their version. This has become one of my favorite throughout the years. This is a Flap Slap by Mega Bass. Can be used as a jerk bait, but it's super effective when fish are shallow in extremely cold water, and this color is just set up perfect for dirty water. So these 3 baits, again, it's the same thing, diving. Most important part is paying attention to what you can keep bottom contact with and get the least amount of debris. On that same lines, in the video I shot where I caught the fish, this is a Brian B's handmade. Same thing, it's a diving flat side. You can fish it in 2 foot of water. You can fish this thing out to 6 or 7. It gets bit, as you can see in that video, because one had it choked all the way to his tail. So, soft, subtle, quiet, and then you're in the Carolinas. You're in Virginia. You're in the Ozarks, I've seen happen. Georgia, South Carolina. The original speed trap right here. Not the one that's mass produced today, but the original bait is like the king of cold water fishing. Now it goes kind of against the grain of everything else I've showed you because it's extremely loud. It's just something that they like. It's erratic, it plows through the ground, fish like it. Now throughout the year though, we've had other options with this because it's been taken a step further. Bloody Thumbs kind of made their package of that bait with a little spin off. But here's the cool thing about this bait. He has the rattling side, but Brian was smart enough, he's been building crankbaits his whole life, to all of a sudden, no noise. So you still have the erratic trap action without the sound. And sometimes when you get on a lake that's highly pressured and a lot of guys are throwing the same bait, same color, you switch up, all of a sudden, there's no sound, and boom, you're getting bites. So another spin we've been working on that with at Bass Mooch, where are you, is the midge. We took it a step further and actually cut the bait size down, narrowed it up, changed the bill and the bill angle, and I've been playing with this bait now for, I guess, the better part of 3 weeks. I've caught every fish that I've caught in the tournaments that I've fished lately with this. Plethora of 4-pounders. Caught a good one on the video you're gonna see that got it. And I think it's gonna be something special when we get it out and get it produced. But we're taking our time, making sure we're getting it right, because we don't want an exact copy of this and we don't want an exact copy of this. But in my two choices, when I'm rigging up, you can see right here, come wintertime, Speedy, which is Brian B's Bloody Thumb, and the Midge from Bass Mooch are gonna be on my rod at all times, especially if the water's dirty and they're biting the crankbait. So my setup when I'm cranking, obviously everything's new to me right now. We've made some changes and I'm up level rods, but I've been throwing this 7-foot medium moderate. It's more of a medium light. I like it. It's good for cranking. It's very, very forgiving rod tip, very sensitive, very light. Haven't lost very many fish. I don't know that I've really lost any cranking this year, which is kind of weird because lots of times they throw treble hooks, but it's been awesome good with the backbone. The reel I've been throwing, as y'all can see, it's just an SLX from Shimano. It's a 6-to-1. It's not a high dollar reel. I've got several of them, been happy with them. Just using these as replacements now because we have reels coming soon, but we want to make sure that they're right. And this was my choice, and this is my choice for cranking. And so far this winter, I've been very happy with it. So if you're looking for a 7-foot cranking rod, the Level NGX is going to be your guy. We'll have them out very soon. I can't wait to get them in your hands. So all these baits I just showed you, fish some of the same way. I'm fishing shallow. Depending on the lip or the bait that I throw, has a lot to do with the water level. If the water's way down, a lot of the rocks are out of the water. I'm not wanting as something that's as aggressive because they're not up there actively feeding around those rocks and on the boat ramps. So I'll switch to more of the baits I can cover water with that are usually the divers, the shad wrap, the flat sides, things that are more subtle. But when it gets extremely dirty like it is now and I'm up around the rocks, I want that bigger bait, that bigger profile. I want it banging into things. I mean, bang into the ramps. Pay attention to the ones that people use. The blowouts at the end of them, several fish can sit there and you can catch multiple fish. You can get well in a hurry off a boat ramp. When you're cranking rocks or you're cranking just straight riprap or bridges or causeway, or maybe it's stumps, you find these places throughout the year as the water fluctuates, if you spend a lot of time on the water, and mark them. That'll be a good cranking spot. One thing for me that I always pay attention to is where does sand and clay meet and is it next to a point? I have 10,000 of those places on Lake Norman in memory, and I can't tell you, year after year, they produce. I'm not exactly sure why. It's that change in the bottom. They come off, and fish in the Carolinas just love clay. Now, I've become to notice over the years, clay has gotten so popular that a lot of the longer clay points or the main lake clay points have just got beat to death. So now, those little subtleties where this clay point's got this, but hey, there's 2 stumps that I know are sitting off to the side over there. You pull up, pick off 1 or 2 fish, go on about your day. Now, all that aside, the wind this time of year is no doubt can be your friend, right? 95% of the time, whichever the direction the wind's blowing, that's where the water's disturbed, that's where the cranking's gonna be the best. But there are exceptions, like you'll see, where sometimes it gets so cold, they wanna be just out of that wind. And they might be tucked up under docks, they might be sitting on dock poles, they might be 5 feet off the side of the ramp, or they might be on nothing. That's when you gotta kind of pan around and start checking it out, changing your angles, always a 45 or parallel if possible. If you can parallel, if the water's up high enough, you can parallel, you get a lot more bites cranking. Never ever do I really want to throw dead on something unless I know there's a target that say it's in 5 feet of water that I want to hit, and I may hit it from multiple angles. But usually if you're coming at a 45, that's a pretty good starting point anywhere across the country when it comes to just cranking. And change your cadence up. Get it to the bottom, maybe give it a 2-second pause, crank it real fast, give it a pause. You know, you have to let the day dictate. I've said it before, I've said it a million times, is the water affects people more than it affects the fish. The temperature affects people more than it affects the fish. So don't get psyched out. There's lots of ways to do it. And tried and true, like with the speed trap style baits, hey, they're meant to be burned. And there are days just like this when they are chomping And there is no pause. It's just get it and keep cranking steadily, and you catch them. You have to let them dictate what they want that day, and as soon as you figure it out, you can run it in a pattern. You can run it around and catch it. Wintertime cranking can be extremely fun, and it can be extremely head scratching when it just doesn't go that way. But that's fishing. It's not catching. There are lots of days when you're out here and the water's dirty and a lot of catching goes on, and those are the best times to be out here because there's not a lot of pleasure boaters, there's not a lot of skiers, there's not a lot of anything going on. But I can give you one more tip here at the end of this video. Last weekend we were fishing a tournament, Norm and myself, and we were idling out of a pocket, and I guess the temperature was in mid 40s, wind's blowing about 20, and two gentlemen tipped over their canoe out in the middle of the lake. We rushed out there and got them in the boat to do it. When they hit the water, something odd happened. They both took their life jackets off, I think panicking. Look guys, be safe, respect the water. Mother Nature is a beautiful thing, but she can break you to the bone if you disrespect her. That's all I got for you. So the next time you're out cranking, shallow water, dirty, try some of these baits. I think they'll work for you. I know they work for me. They've been tried and true throughout the years. I'll keep throwing them, and we'll keep pumping some information to you guys. So till next time, we'll see you on the level.